Welcome back. I am your host, Teddy Lim from John L. Scott Real Estate. We just got done talking about the elements of a perfect offer. And now, what we're going to dive right into is the inspection section of our Money House Keys method of buying a house in this crazy real estate market we're in. moneyhousekeys.com, mhkmethod.com. All right. So let's dive right in. What comes to play in a house inspection? Okay. You would want to consider a house inspection kind of like taking your car to a mechanic. Or let's say you are trying to buy a used car and you're trying to take your car to your friendly mechanic to inspect it to see if everything is in operational standards, is up to operational standards. Okay. Um, in a house, it sort of has similar parts to a car, although it's planted down to the ground. You're going to want to have an inspector take a look at the property. um, 90 to 95% of buyers do, not unless they are, seasoned investors who have seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of homes throughout their lifetime, and they kind of know what to look for in a house that they are trying to buy. But a lot of times, since you're only going to be buying a house in your entire life, most buyers only buy a house maybe one or two or maybe three times in their entire life. Um, you're not going to have the experience or the keen eye like a professional inspector does to look for things that would indicate whether there are certain parts of a house that need repair, that need maintenance, or that need replacement, right? And that's why we have inspectors in our team available to get hired by our client buyers, because it takes a lot of training and a lot of skill in order for somebody to be able to look at everything that's in a house. So let's dive right into it. A lot of what concerns most buyers right now and what could potentially derail a purchase, either because a buyer does not want to invest in repairing or replacing a particular part of a house, or in worst cases, there are parts of a home that are so bad that a bank or a lender simply would not allow for the house to be financed before it gets fixed by either the buyer or the seller. Most of the time, it has to be done by the seller before they're able to close on the sale. That it is so crucial that you as a buyer will do your due diligence in procuring at least a report, or having the eyes and the ears of a professional to take a look at it. Okay, so what is what does an inspector take a look at in an inspection? Okay, so we believe there's 8 steps to a perfect home. It's a little bit of wordplay that I came up with to make it easy to memorize the steps when I'm out and about. Okay, there's 8 things, or I should say 8 steps to complete the perfect picture of a house. So what are those things? Number one is plumbing. Okay, plumbing. These are, your sewer, your septic, your pipes, drainage, your sink, your shower. all of that stuff that manages the flow of water in and out of your house. Okay. Number two is electrical. Electrical systems are what control the flow, the in and out flow of electricity in and out of your house, right? Three is the roof. Obviously, it's self-explanatory. A roof is what prevents the elements from coming into your house. Number four is foundation, right? Foundation could be above ground or below ground. A professional inspector is going to be able to take a look at if there is any proof of cracks or slippage or required maintenance on your house's foundation. Sometimes it gets even trickier when the house that you're trying to buy is on the side of a slope or side of a hill, and there's a lot of movement in that earth, or that piece of ground. And so you're going to want to have a licensed, bonded, and insured inspector take a look at your house, and especially your foundation. A subset of the foundation is actually your crawl space as well. You're going to want to see how your crawl space's condition is in, right? And sometimes it could be soil, there could be paved or cemented. If it is soil, you're going to want to have a moisture barrier in it, so that way, especially here in Seattle, where moisture and humidity, our weather always changes, you're going to want to have that moisture barrier in there. Okay. Step 5 is HVAC. What is HVAC? HVAC is short for your house's heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. There's not a whole lot of homes here in Seattle or Washington State, but after experiencing 2021, the heat wave that we had in summer of 2021, there's probably going to be a higher instance of homeowners wanting to install air conditioning in their house. So, quick trivia: I used to live in Texas, and it never got that hot in Texas, and it really boggled my mind of how hot it was last summer. So, anyways, step 6 is earth, or what we would also call environmental inspection. Okay, the earth portion, it's probably not gonna be that much of a big deal when it comes to hiring an inspector. It's not something that they're always gonna look for, especially in I would say a big majority of the homes out there. Not unless there's indications of whether there's a spill or maybe there's a biohazard, a lot of methane or anything like that. But it's still something that they look out for, right? Because sometimes there could be maybe broken pipes where water or a sort of liquid is coming out of the ground, or you smell gas, God forbid. There's sometimes when there's a strong smell of gas, that indicates that there's a leak, which is very dangerous. So you don't want to move into a house where there's a strong wall of gas that you just smell. So very, 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 very important. Number 7 is cosmetic. There's an entire spectrum of cosmetic repairs or updates that you can do for a home. There's the more basic ones, which is like paint. It's one of the most affordable things you could do to change the aura or the vibe of a home is the type of paint that you use for the walls. You can brighten it up, you can darken it down. You could, put whatever color you want, cosmetic, right? And then there's more expensive ones, more expensive repairs like sidings. I would say landscaping is another cosmetic repair that a lot of people take for granted. Um, there is, I would say, hardscaping too. If you're on the side of a, if your house is on the side of a hill, um, whether it's paving the driveway or putting a retaining wall, so that way there's no soil going back at the back of your house or the side of your house. See, all of these things are cosmetic, and they could be as simple as quick fix, maybe even like a doorknob or handles for a cabinet, what have you, right? It's one of the joys of rehabbing a house that you're trying to buy, and there's a lot of TV channels for that you already know about. So I won't mention that here. And then finally, it's not really part of what an inspector does, but part of what title and escrow does to make sure that it is a perfect house is having a clean and clear and marketable title. What does that mean? It means that the title of your house does not have any encumbrances, there aren't any liens, there aren't any past due commitments, whether it's for your real estate taxes, past due utilities, assessments, right? There could be assessments on condos, for example, or any money that you might owe to, say, like a general contractor. Sometimes people fall on hard times, and they ask for contractors to make some repairs on their house. They're not able to make repairs, and they're not able to, the people asking for the repairs are not able to pay for the repairs. And so what general contractors generally do is they impose a lien on the title of the house. So should they want to sell that property, in order for them to sell that property, then they need to pay off that past due balance. Okay? So inspection, there's 8 steps to a perfect house. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have an idea before purchasing or moving into a house, at least a general idea. There are ways where we can mitigate having sort of the headache of having to deal with all of these things. And it all comes down to negotiation at some point, because what we're trying to do in a negotiation is gain agreement between 2 or 3 different parties, right? Our style of negotiation is always win-win, and our goal is to meet the expectations of the sellers and make and match that up with the expectations of the buyers, so that way everybody is happy and they can move on with their life. Okay, so house section, it's a lot that we covered, but if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to comment and write down in the comment section what your questions are. Or you can DM me, you could call me, you could text me, email me, reach out to me, Teddy Lim, tlimre.com. That's where you can find me, and we'd be happy to go over these things with you. All right? So until next time, our next section is going to be on the keys section, which is where we do the happy dance. All right? All right, so we'll talk to you soon, and we're going to dive in. Cheers.